It's your favorite time of the month on the JoLynn Braley Show if you are ready to get real. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. Today is episode number 480, Get Real, episode number 108. And we're getting real. We're getting real about the 3 reasons you didn't achieve your weight loss goals in 2021 and what you can do about it now. Let's get real. Hello. Welcome back to the JoLynn Braley Show. This is JoLynn Braley, and I'm going to explain to you exactly what getting real is all about. And you might want to leave this podcast after I explain it to you. But first, if this is your first time tuning in, I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that is required if you want to finally get to the root of the problem. If you're tired of putting Band-Aids on your out-of-control eating, if you know exactly what you should be doing to lose weight, but you can't get yourself to do it and you keep cheating on yourself constantly, then the Inner Self Diet is the mental, the emotional, the foundational diet to heal these problems that are the cause of your behaviors. All right? Everybody thinks that the fat is the problem when that's only a symptom of the behaviors that are giving you that result. But then people also think that the behaviors, the overeating, and the food, which is just a tool, is the problem. But what if the real problem is what drives your eating behaviors? And what if what drives your eating behaviors is the reason why it's never mattered how many healthy diet plans you've collected, you still are struggling to get the weight off and keep it off? All right, does this make any sense? So at the foundation of all of it is your mindset. If you get a weight loss mindset, that is 92.8% of your guarantee of success of getting that weight off and keeping it off. 7.2% of your success plan is your eating, your healthy lifestyle eating and exercise regime. All right, you do have to change how you eat, how much you eat, what you're eating. You've got to change those things. You've got to get activity going in your life. You have to be consistent with all of these things. It needs to become a lifestyle. You absolutely have to change the physical aspect of your life in order to get that weight off and keep it off. You can't just sit around and, have a weight loss mindset. The point of getting a weight loss mindset is that it becomes struggle-free to do the things that you got to do to get to your ideal weight and maintain that for the rest of your life. All right. So anyway, since 2009, I've been coaching amazing people, mainly women, a few cool men, through my proven step-by-step system in the Inner Self Diet. And when they just simply follow the steps, they do their homework, then by 8 weeks into the Inner Self Diet, they are struggle-free with food and their weight, which means that it's not a big deal for them to live a healthy lifestyle, and therefore they get the result of weight loss. All right, does this make any sense? So that's what I do. And what we're doing here today on today's episode of the JoLynn Braley Show is we're getting real. Since 2013, I have been doing one Get Real episode per month, And I've heard over and over and over again that these are the favorite episodes out of my entire podcast. Today is actually episode 108 of these Get Real episodes. Keeping in mind that I do one Get Real episode per month. So that means that I have been doing this podcast for 108 months. That's kind of a long time, isn't it? So let's talk about what it means to get real. What is getting real all about? And why is it so important for you to get real if you really want to get the weight off and keep it off? And if you really want to stop binge eating, stop emotional eating, stop struggling, why do you need to get real first? In fact, I can tell you that right now, because if you don't get real first, you won't get started. You got to get real with where you are, with what you're doing, with what you're thinking, with how you're holding yourself back. The problem with that, though, is that you probably don't know why you keep holding yourself back. Coaching can help you with that if you work with the right coach. I'll tell you more about that before we get done today. All right, so what does it mean to get real? It means that you are honest with yourself. And you come out of the delusion, you come out of the denial, you stop telling yourself stories of why it's everybody else's fault that you're not losing weight. And you get real. Why? Because all you can do is start from where you are right now and go forward. And if you continue to make excuses, if you continue to blame other people, if you continue to blame food, if you continue to avoid full personal responsibility for your choices and therefore your results, then how will you ever get to your goal weight? So, if you are looking for more people to blame, if you're looking for more excuses to make, if you want to stay in the pity party, and hey, I've been in pity parties before myself, I get it, but I didn't get any results while I was there. If you want to keep complaining about your weight, if you want to keep thinking about weight loss, but never actually do anything about it, then you're not going to like today's podcast and you should just leave now. All right, so for you who is still here, let's get real. You know what? I have been told since 2013, when I first started this podcast, I've been told over and over and over again that my listeners love the Get Real episodes the most. They love them because I'm not here to tell you tall tales, all right? You really can get to your goal weight and you can stay there if you are willing to make the necessary changes in your mind and in your behaviors, in your lifestyle. If you're not willing to make any changes, then, don't expect different results if you keep doing the same thing that's gotten you to where you are right now. That actually is Einstein's definition of insanity, continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again while expecting different results. How does that work? You know what I mean, Jean? So let's get real about why you didn't achieve your weight loss goals in 2021. We're looking at 3 reasons why. And I'm also going to share with you 3 things that I suggest you do if you don't want to fail in 2022. And by the way, whenever you're listening to this, what I'm sharing now doesn't apply just to this year. It applies to any year. In fact, you could be listening to this in July and it applies to the last 12 months. Okay? Before we do this, before I share with you the 3 reasons you didn't achieve your weight loss goals in 2021, you can get one of my free downloads if you want to go over to www.easyfunweightloss.com, www.easyfunweightloss.com. I have a free download for you there. It might give you some insight, might give you some aha moments. It might give you a spark of inspiration and maybe help to open your mind to why the mainstream diet industry has failed you all these years. Because the only thing that the mainstream diet industry can give you is recipes, how to eat, these kinds of things. And again, don't get me wrong, you've got to change those things to get the weight off and keep it off. You absolutely do. But 92.8% of what's going to determine your success or your failure is what's between your own two ears. If you don't change that, you're not going to have the long-term success with your weight, because it's what's between your own two ears that is driving your behaviors. Alrighty? I'll give you a really simple example. If you're thinking to yourself, I can't lose weight, what are you going to do? Are you going to be choosing the salad? No. If you keep telling yourself you can't lose weight, well, since I can't lose weight, might as well eat these Twinkies. Everything starts between your own two ears. The good news is that if you have a proven step-by-step system, it's not going to take that long to change your mindset. Oh, by the way, if you want some inspiration, look up in my podcast, look for the phrase real results. Real results. You should be able to find a series that I did in the past, which has several audio interviews in it of awesome inner self diet graduates, and you can hear them talk about in their own words, hear them share what their biggest struggles were before the inner self diet and then what happened for them as a result of doing the inner self diet. If the only thing you get from those interviews is hope that it's possible that you could really change, that's great. You got to have hope. You can't just give up. You know, people that give up, they're not going to lose weight. They gave up. All right. So that was www.easyfunweightloss.com, where you can get that free download. And when you search in my podcast for the phrase real results, you'll find that series where you can listen to real life graduates of the Inner Self Diet tell you their own story. They're very, very inspirational. So, getting real. 3 reasons you did not achieve your weight loss goals in 2021 and what to do about it now. Number 1 reason, you don't have a weight loss mindset. You probably saw that coming, right? So your mindset is 92.8% of your entire everything. I mean, what's between your ears determines everything in your life. If you want to get down to the nitty-gritty, your beliefs are either in your way right now, or they are making it really easy for you to live a healthy lifestyle. And what is a belief? A belief is just a thought that you have thought over and over and over and over again. Now, the big problem with folks who are struggling with emotional eating, binge eating, food obsessions, food addiction, out of control eating, yo-yo dieting, the big problem is that it's not a new problem. All right? These problems start when you're a kid. In fact, right now, you can go back in your memory and go back to the first memory that you have of when you started either thinking that you were fat, and you might not have even been overweight. I wasn't. I was 7 years old and I started thinking I was fat. I remember I was sitting in the front seat of my parents' car in the summertime. I had on this pair of little red shorts and I looked down at my thighs, and whenever you sit down, your thighs spread out. And I thought to myself, I'm fat. And I wasn't. But that's where all of my problems started. And I didn't gain weight for many years. But that's where the whole mindset problem started, thinking I was fat. So how old were you when you first started having any challenges in this area? Either you really were overweight. You had family members telling you that you were overweight or fat. You had kids making fun of you. Or maybe you were like me and you weren't overweight, but you thought you were. Maybe your mom wanted you to go on a diet. But how old were you? What age were you? It's going to be really, really easy for you to identify that age. You've probably already got it in mind now. 7, 10, 12, whatever age you were. Well, here's something really interesting. What's your age today? Subtract the age you were when you first started struggling with food and your weight, subtract it from your current age, and what number do you get? That number tells you how old this problem is. 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 32 years. How many years have you been struggling with this food and weight topic? Now, this is time to get real about this. If you blow it off, if you say, oh, well, that's not a big deal, then maybe you don't really care about solving this problem, and maybe you don't really care about getting the weight off and keeping it off. And if you don't, then you might want to ask yourself, why are you even listening to my voice right now? Because there's all kinds of other podcasts out there that you could listen to about all kinds of other things. In fact, there's probably podcasts out there about food. I don't know. I haven't looked up podcasts about that. But I know that there are people who are obsessed with the food channel. It's like food porn, So when you identify this number right now, how many years you have been struggling with this food and weight topic, does it make sense that there must be more to this problem that you have than just a new food plan? Because how many food plans do you already own? How many books? How many online groups? How much information do you already have about how to lose weight? But why isn't it working for you? Why aren't you doing it? And a big problem in all of this is that you might even be totally understanding everything I'm saying and agreeing with me, but you have no idea why you can't get out of your own way. And that's a problem. Because it's one thing to have the awareness that you've got a problem. It's one thing to have the awareness that this is a mindset problem. It's one thing to have the awareness that you're super smart. It's not an intelligence problem. Look at all the success that you have in other areas of your life. So you're not dumb. You're not stupid. You know what you need to do, but you're in your own way. So we're going to get to that in a second. Number one reason that you didn't achieve your weight loss goals in 2021, you don't have a weight loss mindset. Number two reason, this is a long-standing problem. That's what we just identified with that number of how many years you have been struggling with food and your weight. It's a much bigger problem than most are aware of, and it's easy to lose sight of that because the days, the weeks, the months go by. You keep hearing about this new way of eating, and then you jump on that bandwagon, and the time just keeps going by. But the root of the problem has never been addressed. And the longer this problem rolls on, the harder it gets to get out of it. Because also what's happening is you're adding layers and layers and layers of disappointment on top of it when each of these new diet plans that you take on don't work. But why don't they work? Well, of course, you've got to have a healthy eating plan, and I have no idea what kinds of things you've been trying out. But when you have a healthy eating plan, it will never work if you don't do it. And you won't do it if you don't have the right mindset for it. All right? Number 3 reason that you didn't achieve your weight loss goals in 2021 is because you're not able to get out of your way all on your own. You're just not able to do it. And that's what I was talking about just a moment ago. So you can have the awareness that this is a much bigger problem. It's a mindset problem. It's an emotional problem. And you know what? You can also have a food addiction. You can be addicted to sugar. But that is not that difficult to release. In fact, with just 3 days of getting off of all processed foods and eating only whole healthy foods, eating clean, you can get a lot of that chemical food addiction out of your system. And then after that first 3 days, keep it going for 2 weeks. And then it's like you don't even miss the processed food. But most can't even get through 1 day without the food they're addicted to because they don't have the mindset foundation to do it and to get through it. This is a complicated problem, all right? This is why a food diet has not been enough, all right? Okay, so what I was saying there, though, and I know I'm kind of jumping around to a few different points here, but like I was saying, you can have the awareness that this is a big problem. It's a much bigger problem, that a food diet it's not enough to handle it. And you can agree that it's a mindset problem. But when you don't know how you even got here and you don't know for yourself, how do you unravel this? How do you get out of your own way? This is why trying to go it alone just hasn't worked. And you can even look at how many years have you been struggling all on your own? Is that the same number as how many years you've been struggling with this food and weight problem? So if you started struggling when you were 7 years old and you've been struggling for 33 years, which would mean, what's the math on that? 33 plus 7, that would mean you're 40. And you've just been doing this all alone all this time. Does it kind of make sense that maybe you're not getting anywhere and you need more help because you're not able to see your way clear? And the reason for that is we can't see our own blind spots. All of us have blind spots. All of us. Everyone does. That's why the most successful people in life, they get coaching, mentorship, they get help. Because when you have an outside professional coach who can be on the outside of your challenges, they can be objective and they can see what's going on. If they're good at what they're doing, and if they're willing to be honest with you and be real, and if you're willing for them to be honest with you, then you can get to the root of this pretty fast and start unraveling it. Get the heck out of your own way so that you can just live a healthy lifestyle and get that weight off. It is literally no big deal to live a healthy lifestyle when you've got your head in the right place. It's just like no biggie. I can say that for personal experience. My coaching clients can say that. Like I said before, if you want to hear any of them, just a few of them that I have put up here on my podcast, The JoLynn Braley Show, just search in my podcast for the 2 words, real results, and you should be able to find that series. All right, so 3 reasons you didn't achieve your weight loss goals in 2021. You don't have a weight loss mindset. This is a really big and old problem, and you're not able to see your way out of it all alone. So now what do you do? What do you do? All right. 3 things that I suggest you do. Number 1, do not give up. Don't give up. All right? I firmly believe that if you are willing to commit to doing something totally different that you've never done before, if you are able to follow really simple directions and be consistent, if you are willing to stay accountable, which you really need a coach for that, because it's far too easy for all of us to cheat on ourselves when we don't have anybody to be accountable to. And normally, friends and family, they can't help you stay accountable. They just can't do it. You know, they'll tell you that they love you how you are, and that's great. But when you're not happy with how you look, when you're not happy with how you're eating, when you're totally disgusted with yourself, it's not enough to have a friend or family member tell you that you're fine just how you are. In fact, it can even piss you off because you're not where you want to be. But when you have a professional coach who will help you stay on track, then it's a totally different ball game. Okay, so number 1, do not give up on yourself. Okay? There are many out there who have given up, and they go to the store in sweatpants and they just don't care anymore. But they also don't feel very good. They don't have very high self-esteem. A lot of them are pretty angry, bitter. You know, I don't recommend you take that route. I recommend that you make a commitment to yourself to do whatever it takes to solve this problem, to get out of your own way, and make the necessary changes, not only in your eating and your exercise habits, but especially make the necessary changes in your mindset so that you can seriously heal this lifelong problem that you've been struggling with. It is completely possible, but you got to do something different. And if what you've been doing all these years hasn't worked, then now is the time to get real with yourself. I mean, what kind of results do you want over this next 12 months? Are you willing to get to the end of the next 12 months and look back and feel even more disappointed in yourself and feel like you've wasted even more time and be even angrier with yourself and more disgusted with yourself? Seriously. Are you willing to be in an even worse place 12 months from now? Or are you serious enough to make a big, bold change right now and do something totally different? Because if you were to do something totally different, and if you were to do something that's worked for other people that came before you, why couldn't you also get out of your own way? I mean, unless you've got some kind of a brain injury or something, but, and I'm not being funny. I'm being, what I'm saying is there's no reason why you can't get out of your own way, get a weight loss mindset, live a healthy lifestyle, and get that weight off. If other people have done it, so can you. But you have to be willing to do what they've done. You have to be willing to do something totally different. And you've got to be willing to be honest with yourself. And you got to be willing to take action, and consistent action. I need to also share with you about New Year's resolutions before we're done here. I'll share that last, okay? So number 1 thing I suggest is don't give up. Number 2, check in with yourself and let's get real now. What is the state of your mindset? Do you have a weight loss mindset? Because if you do, then, well, if you did have a weight loss mindset, there wouldn't be any reason to still be listening to me. So that might be a silly question. Because if you had a weight loss mindset, then you wouldn't be having any big issues. You would just be ticking along, living a healthy lifestyle, and you wouldn't even have gained weight during the holiday season, you know? So let's get real. Let's look at a very specific point. Can you even see yourself thin? Can you see yourself thin? All right, so the number 2 thing that I suggest that you do in order to have the success that you say you want is you've got to be able to see yourself thin. I've had so many coaching clients over the years since I first began professional coaching back in 2009. I started this mind-body weight loss journey back in 2007, and then I began professional coaching in 2009. And since then, most of my coaching clients have had challenges with being able to see themselves thin. Now, this is one element, one mindset element. There are many. But I'll tell you right now that if you are not able to see yourself thin, you won't get to your healthiest weight. And by the way, when I say thin, I mean strong, slender, healthy, fit. We're not talking about being sickly skinny. That's silly. We're talking about you getting to your healthiest weight, looking your best in your jeans, feeling great. There's nothing wrong with that. Never apologize for that. Okay? There's something wrong with people who are trying to tell you and tell other people that obesity is healthy. It is not. It's not. I mean, that's just insane. That is insane. The human body is not meant to be carrying all kinds of extra weight on it. It's a stress on the heart. It's a stress on the joints. It's a stress on all kinds of things. Not to mention a stress on your self-esteem and your belief in yourself, because if you're like most, you feel like a big old failure because of this one area of your life, even though you're super successful in so many other areas. So never apologize for wanting to get the weight off and look your best. Never apologize for wanting to clean up your unhealthy eating behaviors. There's nothing wrong with any of this. Okay? It's good. It's healthy to get healthy. It's healthy to get healthy in your mind and in your body. It's healthy to like yourself. And it's hard to like yourself when you don't like the body that you see in the mirror, when you're so overweight. All right, so anyway, can you see yourself thin? And if you can't, you got to be able to. So the body, your behaviors follow the image that you've got in your own mind, in your own head. The body follows the mind, all right? It's not the other way around. Does that make sense? So if you see yourself fat, your behaviors are going to match. Number 1, don't give up. Number 2, you got to work on being able to see yourself thin. Number 3, if you really are serious about getting to your healthiest weight this year and not just doing it by forcing yourself to eat better or doing a New Year's resolution, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. Not just forcing yourself in that way, because how many times have you done that and how many times have you gained the weight back? If you're serious about getting to the bottom of this issue so that you can really get this weight off and keep it off, then my 3rd suggestion is to get help, get coaching. Why not? What's wrong with that? What's right with that? What's right with that is that you can actually break through this problem. You know? You know what I mean, Jean? If you want to break through it. If instead you would prefer to keep going it alone, then what you can expect is what you've gotten before. You know, that's just how it is. You can't expect to get different results by doing the same things that you've always done. That is insanity. And that's the opposite of getting real with yourself. That's not getting real. You might want to get out a pen and paper and do this exercise if you really are serious about making this next year the year that you finally do this thing. You finally get the weight off and you heal this problem at the root level so you don't go back. Okay? So what I suggest is you take a pen and paper, and you don't do this electronically. Okay? Do you know how many people are so disconnected from themselves now because their face is in their phone all the time? You need to put a pen in your hand, and you need to put it to physical paper. There is a connection that occurs between the head, the hand, and the heart when you write pen on paper. It also gets you focused in your present moment with yourself. How distracted are you all the time? How are you ever going to get that weight off without focus? Okay, remember I said about 10 minutes ago, there's a lot to this problem. There's many layers to it. There's many challenges. So, if you get help though, and you have a proven step-by-step system to work through, if you're willing to commit to yourself, then you really can change this stuff. You really can. You know, some of my coaching clients, when they came to me, they were the most negative, the most disappointed, the most defeated, the most desperate, the most depressed. And if they could turn this around by doing some simple steps, why not you? But you got to get help for that. You got to get help. Help. All right, so here is the written exercise I suggest that you do now. And I think I'm going to be going over 30 minutes in this podcast, but let's just roll with it and get this done, okay? And you could pause this, of course, to do this written exercise, or do it after you listen to the whole podcast. But take 2 sheets of clean paper. Get a pen, sit down, put both feet flat on the floor. On the first paper, I want you to write at the top where I could be 12 months from now. Where I could be 12 months from now. And I want you to write out on that paper your ideal weight that you'd love to reach in these next 12 months, how you would look. I want you to detail it out, how you would look, what size you would be, what size jeans would you be wearing. I want you to write out where you'd be going. I want you to especially write out how you would be feeling emotionally about yourself if you really were to accomplish this. Okay? I want you to write out the thoughts that you would normally be thinking about yourself if you were this person already. If you were this woman. Or if you're a cool man, you can do this exercise. I normally coach women. I'm not against coaching men. It's just that normally I coach women. So what you're writing here is all of the good that you would love to live and actually see it in real life results within these next 12 months. So you're writing what you want to accomplish physically, but also mentally, emotionally. And I also want you to write, how would these changes impact your relationships? How would these changes impact your work life? How would these changes impact your vacation time? Okay? This body that you live in, you take it with you everywhere. If you don't like how you look, Are you going to go out on the beach when you go to Mexico? Are you going to feel good about yourself? Or are you going to hang back? If you're not feeling good in your own skin, are you having a sexy, sexy time in the bedroom with your husband or your boyfriend? Are you feeling good naked? If you feel like such a failure because you've never been able to get this weight off and keep it off, how does that feeling carry over into your work life? Are you showing up as your best and your brightest? Or do you have this feeling and this thought in the back of your mind all the time that you're not good enough? This body that you have, you can't just leave it at home. It goes with you everywhere. And if you're not feeling good in your own skin, that feeling goes with you everywhere. How could it not impact every area of your life? How could it not? And so what you're writing down is all of the positive changes that you see for yourself if you could finally solve this problem this year in these next 12 months. Now that's paper 1. To fully complete this exercise, you got to do paper 2 also. Paper 2 is a different story. All right, now you're writing at the top, the results I know I'll get if I keep doing what I'm doing now. The results I know I will get if I keep doing what I am doing now. Now, this is going to require your total and complete honesty. You got to be totally willing to get real with yourself. You can't be lying to yourself here. And this one will be really, really easy. All you got to do is look at the results that you've gotten all these years. And you already know what's going to happen if you keep doing what you've been doing. So write down what you're going to weigh, how you're going to look, how you're going to feel about yourself, what you're going to be thinking about yourself, how these results in your eating, in how you think about food, how you're obsessed about food, the results with your weight. Write down how all of these results are going to impact your relationships, your work life, your vacation time, every area of your life. And something to include in both of these stories is, how does this problem get in the way of your faith, your hope, your love, your joy in your day-to-day life? This problem, it's like it's got tentacles, and it seeps into every single area of your life. And that could be a big, huge ass downer. Or if you heal it, those tentacles can be tentacles of love and joy and self-respect, and then they lift up every single area of your life. Are you following me? So you can do that written exercise on your own. And then make a decision. Which way are you going to go? Are you going to keep going it alone? Or do you really want to heal this problem? And if you haven't been able to heal this problem on your own, then who's going to help you? If you want my help, the place to start is by going to www.discovery-session.com, www.discovery-session.com. Fill out an application for a complimentary weight loss discovery session. Let's see if we can get on the phone. Let's see if we can talk. Find out if I might be able to help you. If I can, great. If I can't, great. I'll let you know either way. But first, you got to fill out that application, and the place to start with that is www.discovery-session.com. Now, before we wrap up here, I just want to say why I didn't touch on New Year's resolutions. Because they don't work. If you don't have a weight loss mindset, a New Year's resolution is like a fart in the wind. I don't think I've ever said that on my podcast before, ever. But a New Year's resolution, it's like, oh, yay, the date has changed on the calendar, and now I'm just suddenly going to make this big, huge change. Well, I'm sorry. All you got to do is look at how that's worked for you in the past. And also, if you want to hear more on that, I have done several podcasts on this topic. So I'll give you the podcast numbers right now if you want to jot them down. Or what you can do is just search in the JoLynn Braley Show for the word resolution, and you'll find these. But going all the way back to podcast number 54, I'm pretty sure that was the first time I talked about New Year's resolutions. Then episode 105, episode 106, episode 110, episode 157, episode 211, 316, and 378. Maybe there's more too, but those are the ones that I found by looking up resolution. So you can listen to those if you want to hear more about New Year's resolutions and either why they work or how to get them to work. Okay? But just a simple resolution that, hey, I'm going to do this now. Yeah, there's a reason why by the time January 15th comes around, people are just back to their status quo. And if you take that route, how are you going to achieve these big goals that you have for yourself over the next 12 months? Does that make sense? Alrighty, so make sure that you complete that written exercise. I highly recommend you do that. Don't blow it off because this is your life and you have the power to change if you want to change. Can you do it on your own? Well, if you can, that's awesome. But if you've never been able to do it on your own, then what's going to change to make that happen now? You know what I mean? Once again, if you really are serious about healing the root of this problem, getting out of your own way, making weight loss struggle-free in 8 weeks or less, head on over to www.discovery-session.com, fill out an application to get on a complimentary weight loss discovery session with me. Let's see what we can find out. I am JoLynn Braley, permanent weight loss coach, founder of the Inner Self Diet, the diet that works if you do it. And as always, I wish you your very, very, very best life while living inside of your ideal body, rocking out your jeans, looking your very best. Never, ever, ever apologize for looking your best and feeling your best and living your best life. All right? There's nothing wrong with that, and it's all good. I will see you on the next podcast episode. Bye for now.